Big Drive Energy Tuesday edition. We didn't have a pod on Sunday for the signature event because Mitchell was attending the event. I was at a wedding in Mexico, so we're going to recap that all for you here. Sepp Straka getting his win at the Truist Championship. Mitch was in attendance for that. We're going to hear all about it. Ryan Fox, a lifelong DP World Tour player, finally gets his first win on the PGA Tour, what that means for him going forward. And we'll talk about our weekends in Mexico and at the Truist Championship, Philadelphia Cricket Club. I'm excited to hear what it was all like. We'll do that right after this on Big Drive Energy, part of the Golfer Gang Network. Let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy special Twazy Tuesday edition. How are you, brother? How was your weekend? I want to hear all about going to the Truist Championship and what it was like there, because it's a once in a long time tour stop. It's not a consistent place. So I want to hear about the what's the word I'm looking for here? Fuck, I'm starting off hot. Just you said that when you went to the Travelers, it was like really well done.
Yeah, just the
as well done
logistics
as
aspect of it.
Logistics, there we go.
Yeah. Overall, I would say it was pretty well done considering it's like you said, it's not a consistent tour stop. So I think it definitely makes it more challenging. By the way, real quick, your sunglasses have me a little fucked up. They're absolutely huge on your face. So that I just had to put that out there. If you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, whatever, if you're listening to the audio version, you're lucky because those sunglasses are taking up half between that gallon fucking hat that you've got on. That is a sick hat though.
That's the logo from the course I played in Cabo. It's there's like a big cross on a kind of church type thing close to it. It's sick.
A cross on a church?
Puertas Las Cabos.
That's like putting golf clubs in like a golf club logo. I'm just fucking with you. But basically, I'll get back to the tournament. Basically, it was about as well done as it could be, because that is truly the challenge of having big events like this at old school courses like the Philadelphia Cricket Club. Is the course itself is very capable of hosting a championship, but the property is not built to host that many people and have it logistically make sense. So one of the weird things,
remember we talked about that in our kind of preview on it last Wednesday when I was reading an article. They said that they had to reroute a lot of things because of the way the driving range was and where it was, and players are having to take carts too many places. And that truly is one of I think the thing that a lot of new courses, if they're building a new course, it's not about the golf. I mean, it is, but the golf course has to be good enough. That's step one. But really, in order to host a good event, you got to have the parking lots or the transportation and the areas around certain greens, like especially 18, to have the sponsor tents and be able to have enough room for hundreds of thousands of people throughout the 4 days to come and watch the event.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that was kind of the case. And so I was going to mention that was one of the weirder parts of it, was just the rerouting of the golf course, where when you hear about what the holes actually are relative to the golf course versus how they're playing them this last week was pretty insane, because I want to say 18 was like number 4, just the most random. It wasn't like they just flipped front 9 and back 9. It was like they completely rerouted the entire joint. So 18 green was kind of 18 for last week was kind of out in the middle, in between a couple par 4s and a par 4 and a par 5. But then there was a par 3 that ran behind the green, which was playing as 16, but normally is like number 8. So just a completely wild reroute. But the guys, once they finished up on 18, had to walk had to wait for whoever's teeing off or whatever is going on 16 to walk across 16 to get back to like the media, the driving range, things like that. So the reroute in general was just pretty wild to me. I couldn't really wrap my head around it.
Was that par 3? Was that the one that was playing super short on Sunday, the 95-yard?
No, that was 14, I want to say 13 or 14, which we did go over and watch. Just a fantastic hole. And the crazy part was, so it was playing 95 yards, but it was playing downwind, and it was the bunkers in front of the green are just death. They're just terrible. Like 20 feet deep. There's no chance you're making par from if you hit it in those front bunkers. So you really didn't see that many close shots because it was playing downwind, and these guys were not messing around with hitting it in those front bunkers. You saw a lot of guys hit it 20, 30 feet by the hole, and the greens were firm enough to where even if you landed a 95-yard shot right next to it, it was definitely going to take one hop before it spun. So there really wasn't that many birdies on a 95-yard hole, which is epic. But I also have to say that that hole kind of gives more credit and more validity to my 2 hole-in-ones on the 105-yard hole at the Colorado Golf Club par 3 course. I think that just kind of puts the nail in the coffin that those are legitimate hole-in-ones, and I will not hear otherwise. Feel free to comment.
Oh, me.
Yeah, we're on the podcast together.
Yeah, no, I figured, if somebody's in the chat, they can let us know if
That's true.
How long was yours? 107 yards?
One was like 103 and one was like 108.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think it's one of the toughest arguments for me in golf. I think it's still a legit hole-in-one, but to me, you're definitely verified. Like, you got the check mark on the X Everything app because you've made one on maybe one of the hardest par 3s we've ever consistently played in our lifetimes. So you're validated. I mean, if I made a hole-in-one on a 103-yard hole, doesn't matter if I was playing the fucking PGA Junior League course at Common Ground, I'd be counting it because I'm desperate. But I think you're like, yeah, I've got a hole-in-one on a 230-yard par 3 over a creek and an impossible green. And I've also got a couple of, you got your main course, and then you've got an appetizer and a dessert as well. So you're completely validated. And I think saying you have 3 is completely legit. But if it's your first one, which I know one of the par 3s was your first one, if like I made one on that, like I would be telling everyone, but I don't know if I would feel completely validated that I could say I've made a hole-in-one.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy part is there is guys out on the PGA Tour that don't have hole-in-ones. I'm pretty positive. That would actually be a great. I'm giving the PGA Tour a free content video, just asking every player if they've had a hole-in-one, how many, yada yada. Because some guys legit have like 20, which is just bananas.
Well, we know Michael Block has one.
Yes.
Coming up, yeah, in the PGA Championship. But just for those of you listening, this is our recap episode of the Truist Championship and the Myrtle Beach Classic. We will have another episode tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever you're listening to this audio. We'll have an episode Wednesday live on YouTube at 1 p.m. noon Eastern time. We're workshopping that right now. Noon Eastern time tomorrow, we'll be live on YouTube talking all things PGA Championship. So that will be our episode where we give you our picks. We talk about the field, the strongest field in golf. We talk about the golf course. Mitch gives a weather report, which is going to be crazy. You better have that accent dialed in from Charlotte, North Carolina, which will probably go like Jamaican at some point, or it'll go off the rails. But yeah, tune in for that tomorrow at noon Eastern time for the PGA Championship. Talking about the Truist, what did you think of the golf course and the vibe overall? Was Philadelphia Cricket Club really as stoic and old money as it sounded?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like the layout itself just gave very classic old school vibes. The bunkering was phenomenal. You can just tell, you and I have played some high end country clubs in our day. You can just tell the grass, like the different levels of the rough, the fescue, how even perfect the fescue looks. And really just everything. There was not a piece of grass out of place, but it definitely had the old school vibe where A lot of dog legs, a lot of decisions to be made over bunkers, which is the crazy part, that you had Shane Lowry and Sepp Straka in the final pairing, when it really felt like a bomber was going to win this event. And it turned out to be two of the more accurate, not short players, but average length players in that final pairing. So I was kind of surprised at that, because there is like, it is the prototypical perfect. I mean, Rory said it. There's all these bunkers at like 300 to 310 yards away from the tee box. And if you're an average length player on the PGA Tour, that absolutely comes in play. That's something you have to think about. For a guy like Rory, he's looking over those bunkers. And it is kind of funny that, and you don't expect Rory to win every week, or a bomber to win every week, but he makes those comments. It was kind of this similar to Bryson at the Masters saying it's a par 67. Like, Rory's like, yeah, I'm just going to bomb it over all these bunkers and then figure it out from there. It kind of gave like a arrogant, it read a little arrogant to me, let's put it that way. And for him he had
It's
a good
giving
week.
arrogant.
Yeah, it was definitely serving. He was definitely serving C there. So I was not that impressed with Rory overall. But
Well, from being on the property, where do you think the teeth of the golf course were the most? Because we went into this and everybody's like, oh my God, they're going to murder this course. And the winner being at 16 under is actually fairly low compared to, I mean, Scotty Scheffler shot 31 under 8 days ago in a 4-day event down at TPC Craig Ranch. So where it was it the unfamiliarity, you think? Like, because as you mentioned, Sepp Straka and Shane Lowry, if you look into the numbers, probably two of the top 5 to 10 ball strikers on the PGA Tour this year, just in general, not even, legit drivers of the golf ball and not the greatest putters, but they were just fairway green or just keeping the ball in play. So where was the teeth at? Like, why did somebody not shoot 24, 25 under after the first day? You had some 8 unders, some 9 unders from some classic first round leaders, and you're thinking we're on the way to 30 under, and then you get a winner at 16.
yeah, I really do think that the beauty of these old school courses comes in the green complexes and just all the different little pockets of the green. And I mean, they made the pins so fucking hard. We were standing behind the 18th hole, and it's a 515-yard par 4. First of all, it was playing into the wind, and we were actually walking between 15 and 18, which 15 was a par 5 and 18 was the par 4, and we were walking in between. And I felt like such an idiot. It was the classic, like, we were in the perfect spot to get hit, and I was just so lacking awareness whatsoever.
You were everybody that you talk shit about every single event where we see
100%.
somebody
Like,
get dicked down.
it was so funny, but I will say that we were a ways back from where you should be landing it on 18. Like, JT Poston hit a fucking high pop fly to right field because it landed legitimately. It whiffed Missy's calf. Like, it fucking
on the bounce or on the fly?
No, on the fly. Like, it was
dude,
fucking serious. Like, it was legit. It landed between both of our feet.
Bloopy would have had a fucking heart attack, dude. You would have had to go right
Blooper would have
home.
gone down. We would have had a Jason Tatum situation. I would have been wheeling her out of there. Fucking, it would have been terrible. But no, we could like feel it hit the ground because it landed that close to us, which was insane.
And you're over there like,
yeah, I'm like, but okay, so get this. He comes over, Poston's like, I didn't hit anybody, did I? Like, he seemed cool. And his caddy was pretty funny as well.
His caddy, he's the one we know. He's the one that our buddy Mike Leonard is friends with.
Mike Leonard fucking said something to him.
100%.
God damn
That's
it.
our guy we've been trying to get on kind of behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, I mean, reach back out to him. I mean, it was funny though, because his caddy was like, I don't even fucking know how far we have in, and he just whips out the rangefinder, and I was immediately like, that is, and he's just, the conversation was pretty funny, but Poston had 265 yards to the hole.
Oh my God. Did he lay it up?
No, well, the crazy part is he was in the rough and he had a pretty big chunk of grass behind the ball. And he was like, I think I can get a club on it. I'm like, brother, and he has 3 wood in his hands. And he immediately, it was funny because his caddy was like, "You don't want to like lay something up and wedge it in." He's like, Poston's like, "No, I'm gonna try to hit it like in that left bunker or whatever." And he immediately, like, I knew he was gonna drop kick it just because this giant chunk of grass. He drop kicks it, pulls it, and not even a split second after impact, his fucking caddy's far, far, and it's flying towards the fucking people on the left side of the, and I think it hit somebody right at the corner of where the grandstand started and where the people standing ended. But he just shit pumped this knuckly 3-wood right into somebody on the left side. He went up, took a drop, made bogey. But the caddy, you could tell they were both kind of, I mean, he had a good week. I think he shot like 7 under, but he also wasn't really in contention. So they weren't taking too long. Like Poston's like, I can get a fucking club on this. And he's like, okay, go for it. And then he just hits it 60 yards left of the green. But those greens, that pin on 18 was nearly impossible. Like Hideki Matsuyama hit, I want to say probably a 5-iron or a 4-iron from like 220, a high cut, and it landed in the perfect spot. And he hit it's like 5 feet, ended up making birdie. But I want to say that was maybe one of a less than a handful of birdies on 18 the final day. And Shane Lowry hit a phenomenal shot and had like 20, 25 feet because that pin was right on this knob in the front where there was probably 10, 15 feet on the green in front of it, but it all ran back towards the front of the green. And then right after the knob that the pin was on, everything worked hard away from you, from the front to the back. So it was just really, really tough. And I mean, they did have to trick up the pins a little bit. They were in very, very challenging spots, which it's PGA Tour players, that's kind of what you got to do. But I just think the green complex is, it truly, like, these old school courses are second shot golf. Like, and obviously you have to set yourself up off the tee because there's flat out a few holes that if you don't hit it in the right spot off the tee, you have no chance of going at the hole. But even if you have an A1 chance and you try to stuff one, if you're not in a certain little pocket, you really have to know where to miss it. Like, it's very strategic golf. And that's what I think is the beauty of it versus fucking hit a driver 350 down there, wedge something as close as you can. And that's really what it feels like Quail Hollow is going to be this next week, which is hilarious because one's a signature event and one's a major. But I will say, from purely logistics, like, the clubhouse was tiny. It was weird. It almost didn't look like a clubhouse. It almost looked like somewhat of a halfway house type of deal, like a big, nice course. I was like, this does not look like a clubhouse. And then you had to walk a pretty good ways in. And the shuttle was, for general admission parking, the shuttle was like 20 minutes from parking to the golf course. So it's just in an old school neighborhood with a bunch of old houses. Like, there's no office buildings nearby with huge parking garages and all this. Like, that's where general admission was. And so we had to take a shuttle in and out. But overall, for what they were dealing with, they managed it very well. And there was no big like snafus where it takes you 3 hours to get back to your car or anything like that. But just the headache of trying to set that place up for a tournament like that. And it was kind of weird, pretty crazy, right when Shane Lowry 3-whacked it on 18, because that was really the only chance. Shane was 1 down going into 18. He needed basically to make birdie. So then Sepp puts like 5 feet by. And for a split second, I was like, Sepp could 3-putt this. Shane could knock this in, and Shane could win in fucking regulation, which would have been bananas. But then Shane hits his like 5 or 6 feet by. He's still out. Then he misses it. And then people started to scatter to try to get out of there early. And I don't know what happened, but people started crossing the driving range. Like, there definitely wasn't a way out on the driving range. It was fenced in. I don't know. And everyone, like, I think it was one of those where somebody sees one person do it and they do it, and then more people. There was hundreds of people out on the driving range stealing range balls. Fucking, I saw kids like wrestling out there. And it was like a concert where it feels like one person jumps the railing and then the rest of them just fucking go. And then I see all these security guys. They're all like standing around 18 green watching, and then they turn one of them looks over their shoulder and then they all turn and then they all run in that direction. Like they're like, oh fuck, what are all these? And people are just putting range balls in their pockets. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So that was kind of a weird scenario, but oh yeah, typical Philly people. Oh my God. So Jordan Mailata was out there, and I think there's maybe a couple other Eagles, but it was so funny because I was getting ice cream, fat kid, whatever.
Was it
I
good?
was
Was it like some specialty ice cream, or is it like a
it,
Baskin Robbins?
no, it was specialty. I got a peach cobbler ice cream, which was fucking really good. It had like pie crumbles in it and peaches, and it was actually like a bourbon peach cobbler, so you could taste like a little bit of like bourbon in there. And for the drinker and the eater in me, that was just the perfect combination. But I'm up at the stand, and there's just random local people working the stand, and Jordan Mailata like appears to our left walking down 18, and you just hear the one dude behind the desk go, "Holy shit, that's Jordan Mailata." And then you hear EAGL, like the amount of Eagles chants, just random. Like one person would just start doing it and everybody else would fucking join in. Just a bunch of fucking degenerate Philly people.
Dude, so that reminds me, I'm not going to get too off topic, but I'm telling a story. So before the wedding, Allie's dad, who is an Eagles fan, obviously he comes in wearing his Eagles hat. He's from Philly, lived in Philly most of his life. He was talking about, the Eagles and the classic, AC says this to us all the time. Nobody likes us. We don't care. And it was like they were talking about the city of brotherly love. And Allie's dad is talking with Ryan's stepdad. And he's like saying something about brotherly love. And he's like, what have you done? Or like, what have you done to your brother? And RK's dad just goes, I killed him. Like, it was just he was so fucking stoic about saying I killed him.
Oh my God.
It was literally right before the wedding, before he walked out, and I was fucking pissing myself.
That is hilarious.
There was a couple of Eagles chants just at the wedding, just from a few of the Philly people. It's very much a thing, and I think even like Eagles Super Bowl is part of the what the speeches and whatever. It's like it's hilarious how into it they are, but I love it and I respect it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, they're all crazy. It's kind of somewhat of a sickness, but I do respect the fandom of it all. So real quick, give us a rundown on the Mexico vacation, the wedding, your round of golf. United snapped your driver. Give us the discourse there. Like that is technically, they say it's not their fault, correct? So
No. So I went to the desk yesterday. I was Googling it after we had left the airport. I should have just went to the desk at the airport, but on international flights, they give you like a 7-day window to go and report it. And let's be honest here, like it was Mexico. They deserve to speak Spanish. That's their country. I was in their country, so I respect that. But I was like, dude, if I go up to one of these baggage places, it's not going to go well for me. It's not going to be a smooth conversation of
the
me trying
language
to tell them.
barrier was going to be an issue.
Correct. So I ended up going to United Baggage Help yesterday when I got home to Denver. And ironically, I flew Southwest home, and I thought that was going to be a problem because they were going to be like, oh, well, now it's broken. You can't prove that it was United versus Southwest. But I took a picture of my driver in Cabo. But yeah, I was walking through, and it's kind of my fault, dude, to be honest. Like, I hope they don't watch this and implicate me, because the lady said they're going to pay for it. I just have to like kind of I think I have to buy a new shaft, send in the receipt, whatever. But I get to the airport, and it's my fault because I had my walking bag, my Sunday bag. So super light bag, driver sticking out. I don't have a 5-wood because that's also shattered. So there's nothing like around my driver head. It's just the driver, and then the hybrid is barely sticking out of the bag.
Did you have a bunch of shit packed around it? Because you have a big travel bag. That Cobra travel bag is huge. So if you only have that Sunday bag, that thing's probably knocking around in there like crazy.
I did have my carry-on in there as well. So I think that's kind of where the problem was.
You put your carry-on inside of your golf bag?
Yes, I do that all the time. I do that on every golf trip. But I put my carry-on next to this Sunday bag, so I think the driver was literally just so exposed up there at the top. And I've learned my lesson. I'm taking the driver head off from now on, putting it somewhere else in the bag, whatever. But I get there, and I'm like carrying my golf bag after I get it off the luggage stand, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. This feels like empty. Like the top third of this fucking carry bag feels empty. And I open it up, and my driver head's just not there. It's just like the shaft is just fucking sticking out. The graphite's all fucking shattered, and I'm like, this is good. This is great. And playing one round of golf in Cabo, I wasn't too concerned with it, but I am going on a bachelor trip this coming weekend to Mesquite, Nevada, and playing 54 holes in like a 24-hour span. And I'm like, fuck. Luckily, we have the background we do and have millions of old clubs. Like I got 3 other drivers just in my garage that I can hit. So I'm not too concerned with it. But if you're just a regular Joe and that's your driver that you spent fucking half a paycheck on nowadays, I'd be really upset. So I'm going to have to do some tinkering this week, probably go to the range with my old Cobra Aero jet and figure out how to hit that again. But I can't really hit driver anyways, period.
Well, why don't you just throw the new head on the old shaft?
Well, I'm going to if it fits, but you know how all the different heads have different fittings, like the
But
PXG.
Don't you have a Cobra driver now?
No, I have a PXG driver.
Oh, I forgot. Well, is it the star setting, the star fitting?
I don't know. Well, I'm going to have to find that out today. I have my old Aerojet is at my work. So when I go to work today, I'll grab it from there, bring it home and see if the PXG just flips onto that shaft. But then I'm going to buy that same Ventus shaft that I have in my driver, and then United will reimburse me for it, apparently.
Well, yeah, why don't you just hit up PXG then, hit up our boy over there, and I bet they've got one in store that you could just go pick up.
Yeah, maybe. Our boy Bobby doesn't work there anymore. He works for True Green now or some lawn company.
Oh, okay. I thought our boy Bobby was still.
No, he texted me and let me know he was leaving, which was nice of him. But yeah, so I'm going to figure that out this week. Definitely have a new driver. I'm not going to play freaking Wolf Creek and Conestoga and all these courses without a driver. But I did play Puertos Los Cabos without a driver and went surprisingly well. I was hungover as a motherfucker and shaking the first 3 holes. Now, the one thing that's really cool about some of these like resort style public semi-private courses in Cabo is, and maybe it's not all of them, maybe it's just this one, but they have casitas, basically like where a restroom would be. So there's one on the front, you hit it after number 3 and number 7. Same on the back, you hit it after number 12 and number 16. And it's all you can eat, all you can drink at those. So you can order only a max of 2 drinks and no shots. There was like signs that say clearly no shots. I think there's been some issues there, I would imagine. But they make fresh breakfast tacos. Like on the front 9, I got breakfast tacos that they make right there on the grill for you. You get to choose chorizo, bacon, whatever. And then they have bananas and a bunch of fruit. They have a bunch of salsas. They have a bunch of, Mexican cookies and different snacks like that, peanuts, and then obviously alcohol and regular drinks. So I was just like shaking like a leaf until I could get to the casita. But yeah, I felt like a high schooler again. I don't know. I just like hitting hybrid everywhere. And I hit my hybrid pretty well. I made a few mistakes on the first couple of holes, just hitting them in just slightly wrong spots. But we played the course from the 1-ups, and dude, just the start of the day was hilarious. So we played with RK's Uncle Steven, who's 82 years old, plays golf in Florida like every day. So I'm buying this hat, which is gas, right? But me, it's a black hat or it's a white hat, maybe gray, but I only buy black and white hats. Like it's just my thing. And Uncle Steven wanted to buy a hat too. And you know how you set up hats in the pro shop, you set the same hat all the way back. Like if you front hat's black, this hat, you set this hat in all the stock you have throughout the whole shelf. And Uncle Steven wanted a black hat, but he thought this one hat was navy or was black, but he pulls it out and he goes, Hey, is this black or navy? And I was like, that's navy. He goes back to the same rack 3 different times and goes, this one's got to be black, right? This one's got to be black. And I was like, no, Uncle Steven, that's fucking navy, buddy. And he does it 2 more times. And I'm finally like, dude, you got to go to a different rack. Like there's a different cubby hole over there has a black hat that you can purchase. But
I will say though that a lot of golf companies have been making shit in navy, and it looks very close to black because I bought some G4 shoes that I swear to God are black, and then I'm like, this is fucking. They call it midnight as well, which shouldn't be navy. It should be black. If it's midnight, that is dark. It should not be blue, but they call it fucking midnight, and I order it, and then it's not
Well,
black.
I was hungover enough to tell one of the hats was black until I got it looking a different light. So, um, severely hungover. I had the shanks on the driving range, which I was like, oh fuck! Like I hit like 5-6 irons, and all of them were just that. They weren't like a pure shank, but they were like hosel and just not center of the face. And I was
Just
like,
heely thin.
yep. I was like, I am fucking into one. I end up hitting it to like, luckily getting a bounce on one to like 12 feet, 2-putt par. And so that kind of started me off on a good foot. And then I made a few bogeys here and there, and then had a run of 9 straight pars, 9 through 17, bogeyed 18 with all the boys watching. It was bad. I had like 110 in, and I just literally hit my 54 degree. It was downhill lie. I hit it like 150 yards into the fucking cactus behind the green. But overall, I played pretty well with a hybrid. And ironically, the par fives, 4 par fives, all like 570 plus from where we played it. And I played the par fives in 1 under without a driver. So I'm like, man, that kind of says something. But at the same time, like once I get a fucking driver back in the bag, I'm going to be hitting it plentifully and all the time. Plentifully is not a word, but I'm going to be hitting it a lot.
I knew you would somehow get in a shot by shot fucking breakdown of your round. So we always appreciate that. That's if you listen to the podcast, you know Spencer just can't help himself but let us know exactly the entire round of golf that he played. So yeah, it sounds like you had a great time. I mean, the resort looked beautiful. Was it as nice as you imagined it would be? Like I assume you guys had a ocean view, like it looked really pretty. So
Yeah, it was pretty unreal, to be honest, and just how close the ocean was. There was multiple greens where you're putting and you could not hear someone else talk because of how loud the waves are crashing below you. And then that one par three that I took a picture of and said, "What a golf hole!" When you were speaking on unbelievable pins, that pin, because they kind of ruined that hole a little bit with the higher grass. You know, they did the black bear scenario where they had the higher kind of weeds all in front of the tee boxes. So if you're hitting dick high drives, you're skimming those fucking weeds if you're hitting driver. Obviously, this is a par three, but it kind of took away from the view of the ocean. But the way the tee box was set up, the way that green was set up, where just to the right of it, that's the fence and then a steep cliff in onto the beach. That pin looked like it was off the fucking green. It was way right, and I fucking dialed one in there. I fucking hit a cut, landed it 2 feet right behind the hole, ended up rolling, spinning back to the fringe, and I had like 12 feet for birdie, but I had an absolute seed in there. Felt really good about it. And I was on a little bit of a heater, but I won't lie, like hitting hybrid off every tee, it made it easy, made the decision easy. But at the same time, I'm like hitting hybrid and then having 200 yards in on some pretty easy par fours was like not as fun, but it was very much I made a lot of pars, and I had 1 birdie, but I had probably 3 to 4 chances, legit chances at birdie. And the other ones, it was like, oh, I got 40 feet. Let me just 2-putt this and get out of here. But yeah, some crazy undulations, which was fun. And then just a lot of ocean views. I mean, the course was immaculate. The casitas were amazing. Actually didn't get too hammered because I think I was just trying to like reset my whole body from the hangover. But overall, great round of golf.
Glad to hear that. Don't they have like little pockets on the golf course, like in the ground with bottles of tequila, or is there any of those on that golf course?
I didn't sniff those out. There were live cats on the golf course, like house cats. It was kind of crazy that one of them ran across my feet, and I was all hung over and not paying attention. And I fucking jumped up and like hit my head on the cart because I was eating my tacos, and they hang out right after the casitas. And I guess one of the cats just got Will's tacos because he left them in his cart. And I was like, I'm not leaving these tacos. I need these in my belly so I can survive the rest of today. And so yeah, but the cat ran across my feet, and I'm not a big cat guy, and it freaked me the fuck out. So I screamed.
Yeah, cats kind of feel like they're unhinged, where you really don't know what you're getting. Like they could just attack you. That
1,000,000%.
They could come at your face and scratch the shit out of you, and I'm not in on that whatsoever. I also, your wife sent us a Snapchat of you asleep in the Uber about 20 minutes after running the dance floor. So it sounded like you were well into one that evening, but you passing out in the Uber is a tale as old as time.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully
and
you
that was
didn't.
the
Did you throw up or no?
no, I didn't. I didn't throw up.
Cats are lit. Of course, Greg would say shit like that.
The only thing that was kind of a bummer is like our resort in our house that the wedding was in that we stayed in most of the time was incredible, right on the ocean, pool, bar, everything we needed. But we did go into town a few times and it was like a good 30 to 35-minute drive. And you're in this big shuttle and like we were in the top/back of the shuttle. So it was very much a vibe killer going from like the bar that night, watching the Nuggets win this incredible game. There's all 40 of us there cheering on the Nuggets, hammered. And then by the time that was when I fell asleep, or maybe that was Thursday night, but by the time they leaving the bar, I'm like, oh, we're going to go home and fucking until like 2 a.m. And then you get home after a 30-minute car ride. And I'm like, straight to bed. No more tequila for this boy. Like I just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
And I'm not built like
the
I used
long
to be
car
built.
ride.
So
It's got to be a max of like 15 minutes. Anything after that, you're like, once you go down, you can't come back up. Like you either got to stay up or you're down for good. That's how it works.
exactly. Well, do you want to get into, let's talk about Ryan Fox, our boy. So those of you that have been listening to the pod for over a year at least, we started at Calcutta for the Masters, and last year we had Foxy. And if you followed his round like we did, absolute roller coaster. Guy made like 3 birdies in a row, followed by 3 doubles in a row. So Foxy's got a little small place in our heart. He's from New Zealand, Kiwi, if you will, and won his first PGA Tour event. I think he's definitely an older dude, but won his first PGA Tour event this past weekend at the Myrtle Beach Classic, where these Oppo Field events are always a great chance for somebody to kind of change their career. I mean, Foxy has had a great career on the DP World Tour, but made it over to the PGA Tour through their program. And I've actually got an interesting quote from Ryan Fox that I'll read here. So Fox's first PGA Tour win obviously ensures he'll line up for the second major of the year at Quail Hollow. Was not in that, and now as the last player in that field, he is probably going to miss the cut, but you never know. And he said, I played in all of them the last 2 years, and I was pretty gutted to miss the Masters this year, Fox said. There was one spot going into the week, and the only way to get it was to win. I am chuffed with that. I don't know what chuffed means, but that's probably a New Zealand term. And then he said, it changes the plans a little bit. I might have to be a little bit of I might have a little bit of a hangover tomorrow driving to Quail, but that's all good. I can live with that.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, I'm looking at his stats, and what he's pretty well known for is his driving, his distance in general. The guy bombs it, and he is 38 years old at this point. I looked that up, and if I'm being honest, I thought he was probably in his early 40s. Like he does give a little bit of an older vibe, but he is generally, his bread and butter is off the tee, just driving distance, and he is actually like 90th, I want to say, in strokes gained driving on the PGA Tour this year. So that feels pretty out of character for him. He's 136th in driving accuracy and 132nd in greens and regulation, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because then his proximity is 28th. So he doesn't hit a lot of greens, I guess, but when he hits the green, he hits it close. So that's kind of an odd deal. And he's 130th in scrambling. Actually 20th in putting average on the PGA Tour this year. So he definitely has a different kind of game. If you get the chance to watch Ryan Fox's swing, he has one of the most strong grips I've ever seen in my life. You can basically see every knuckle on the guy's left hand when he grips it. And then he just gets to impact and just holds on for dear life. His follow through is actually kind of like a helicopter Arnold Palmer old school type of follow through where just super shut, super closed, and then fucking holds that puppy off all the way through into impact. So it is odd to me that, ironically enough, his scrambling is not good either. And he chips in on the playoff hole to win the event, which also included Mackenzie Hughes and Harry Higgs. So
Yeah, well, an electric finish, and it really is unfortunate that a lot of people were probably plugged into the Truist at that point. Not unfortunate. I memean, it's a signature event, and this is kind of what it is an opposite field event. But if that would have been a standalone, and you have three guys, and in reality, I mean, Ryan Fox, not so much. He is to us, but like Harry Higgs is a bigger name, especially to be playing an oppo field event, and so is Mackenzie Hughes. And you have a three-way playoff, two guys that think they have a legit shot to make a putt to win a tournament. He's off the green and fucking holes it and basically just walks it off and wins the tournament. Incredible finish. And so it is unfortunate for those guys in the PGA Tour in general that that wasn't last week. You know, instead of Scotty winning by 2 tournaments worth of shots, they have Ryan Fox chipping in and like 12 people. I mean, it's like a live event. It's on YouTube live and 12 people are watching it, as most people are tuned in for the Truist. But the Truist at the same point, good finish to that as well. But shout out to Ryan Fox. He'll be playing the major this coming week at the PGA Championship. And, now he's got a full on career on the PGA Tour, 2 years locked up, made 1.2 mil. And so he's doing solid. And shout out to you. We'll go back to the Truist a little bit. Did you have Cantlay in your one and done?
I
Because he
did.
finished T4. I had Corey Connors. I also had Corey Connors in the top 10. He finished T11, of course. Fuck my dog. But Mark Hubbard, I want to give a shout out to Mark Hubbard, another T7 on the PGA Tour. So back-to-back top 10s, finding his groove a little bit. I'm not sure if he'll be teeing it up in the PGA Championship this week, but I would imagine maybe so with his ranking. But
let's find out. I think we can look at the field and let's see if he is not in the field.
Not in the field, so missing the PGA Championship.
I feel like I'd take Hubs over Michael Block any day of the week. Fucking boot Blocky out of there. But I'll ask you from the Truist perspective. Did you watched some of it on TV? I assume a little bit here and there. Did it feel like it had the juice of a big tournament? Like, I mean, the leaderboard was relatively stacked names wise, so I guess that was solid.
Yeah, I think, and it's just like I always say in any sport, when you give a city or an area a tournament, I mean, Philly's just another class of humans in terms of sports fans. But when you give another city that doesn't get a consistent event, a PGA Tour event, or especially like, just look at what happened in Denver last year. I mean, this city and this state is craving professional golf, and there was like a record-setting number of people at the BMW. That's the same thing, and that's what it felt like. You could feel the crowds were very into the event, very much around the tee boxes and the finish of the event. And like you said, a pretty stacked leaderboard. I mean, Sepp Straka maybe having, outside of not winning majors, one of the best seasons on the PGA Tour this year. Shane Lowry, I mean, I shared that tweet with you, and this is insane. I'll just get to this real quick. Another thing. Sepp Straka's caddy, if you guys didn't see this, Drew Mathers, he was trying to qualify for the US Open. He pulled out of that to caddy for Sepp at the Truist Championship. And $3.6 million later, now he's probably got $360K, give or take, in his bank account, and will be able to potentially play in any US Open quals that he wants the rest of his career.
I saw somebody respond and say that, and I didn't know that this was general practice, but I guess if a guy's regular caddy gets hurt and they bring on another guy last minute, they'll split the winnings between his typical caddy who's out injured and the current caddy that steps in for him. So 180K, I mean, I think it's Dwayne Bach is Sepp's guy, which is formerly Kevin Kisner's dude. He's got a Twitter account just for his calves. He's got the biggest fucking calves, I think, by circumference, maybe in America. But how nice would that be to take some PTO and fucking get paid 180 G's for? I mean, obviously nobody wants to be hurt, but that's a pretty good week to be hurt. You're not walking for shit and you're making 180 G's. But yeah, that I saw that with the him stepping in and caddying for him. And there was another story about that where JT Poston stepped in for Will Wilcox, I want to say, back which is ironic because now Will Wilcox is Sungjae Im's caddy. But 8 or 9 years ago, when Will Wilcox was on the PGA Tour, JT Poston stepped into caddy for him short term, and Will made a good amount of money. So JT made a good amount of money on his bag in a few weeks, and that actually propelled his professional career to now being on the PGA Tour. So kind of cool how that type of earnings from caddying can propel you can jumpstart you to succeeding on the PGA Tour. You know, who knows where this guy's career is going to go, but it's just very cool that he gets this opportunity to have a good sized payday. And shout out to Sepp Straka, man. Like just in general terms, the US Ryder Cup team is just looking like they're going to get dicked down at Bethpage Black for no better, not really a better term that I could find to describe what it feels like, because the depth that the European Ryder Cup team has, by the looks of it, is insane. They're the Oklahoma City Thunder. They just fucking keep coming. Number 7, number 8, number 9. You're like, who's this guy? And the US team's the Denver Nuggets, where you've got the 3 really good dudes and then about 7 or 8 of those that dragon meme where fucking US team 7 through 12 is like the doy fucking looking dragon. So a lot of it is kind of building up to that Ryder Cup moment, and it's just looking more and more like that European team is pretty stacked. And like you mentioned, I think Shane Lowry, not as positive of a note, Shane Lowry has not won on US soil, won a PGA Tour event on US soil individually, and I want to say 3,000 days over.
Yeah, I was just going to pull up this. I just pulled up this tweet. So days since the last non-team PGA Tour victory, Colin Morikawa 564, and that was the Zozo that he won. Patrick Cantlay is going on 1,000 days, so he'll be over 1,000 days by the end of the PGA Championship. Jordan Spieth 1,121 days, and then Shane Lowry 2,122 days since he's won the Open Championship, 3,564 days since he won the WGC Bridgestone, and then, of course, a final shot at the Tommy Fleetwood Infinity Days, which basically since the day he was born, since he's won a non-team in any PGA Tour event, which is just insane. I mean, and Cameron Young and Tommy Fleetwood are just the English and European, or English and American version of each other. Spider-Man meme, Tommy Fleetwood, Cameron Young, lots of talent. Tommy Fleetwood at least top 10s a lot, but Cameron Young
Fleetwood actually, I actually like Andrew Novak for the Americans. JJ Spawn, I don't think he's got quite that dog that Novak has in him. But actually, by statistical record, Tommy Fleetwood has the most top 10s in the all time on the PGA Tour without a win. He now has 40 of them. So he's making a great living for himself. He just can't seem to get a W. And I think that the Canadian Open is really going to come back to bite him in the ass, where Nick Taylor decided to make a 70-footer in the playoff. But
the bridesmaid in the history of PGA Tour golf.
Well, and Shane Lowry's got to feel that way too. I mean, how many top 5s does he have this year? And he sees his buddy Rory McIlroy fucking tearing it up, and he's like Squidward up in the window, and Rory and Sepp Straka are down running around having the time of their lives, just winning signature events, making tens of millions of dollars. And I mean, Shane is still doing plenty well for himself, but just to get himself over that hump and get the job done. And that 3-putt he had on 18 was really like uncharacteristic, because I generally think of Shane Lowry as a more clutch golfer. It feels like more often than not. And it was maybe back at Firestone that he won like his first PGA Tour event. It was a WGC like 10 years ago.
Well, that's the 3,564 days. So
okay,
yes.
Yeah. So that's his lone fucking PGA Tour win. But he hit a really clutch iron shot. I think he made birdie on 18 to win it. And ever since then, it feels like he steps up in big moments. So oddly enough, he's the one that keeps faltering coming down the stretch. So we'll see if that comes into play for the Ryder Cup down the road, because we know that Shane is going to be on that team. I just got to say that I am we're doing a show again tomorrow. And usually when we talk this recently, like one after the other, I don't have a lot to say, but I feel like I have a lot to say about this PGA Championship. Like I want to get into it now, but I think we just save it for tomorrow.
I love that. I love that. We'll tune in tomorrow. Same YouTube channel, live, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to talk all about this upcoming PGA Championship at
Do you,
Quail Hollow, Rory
do you have a
McIlroy Country Club.
do you have a Mulligan Monday, or do you have one off the top of your head?
No, I do have some WTF Wednesdays for tomorrow that I'll double stack. My Mulligan Monday was, just not taking the head off my driver and having a soft case. And what's funny about that too is Austin and Sam, my buddies who are going on this golf trip with me this weekend, this bachelor party trip, were like, is a soft case okay? And I literally texted them a week ago, oh yeah, soft case is great. I've had one for 5 years and never any issues. And then I sent them the picture of my snapped off fucking driver head and said, maybe we should rethink this soft case scenario. But my mulligan of the week, definitely never, ever going to not take my driver head off again.
Yeah, that's fair. And I've also, knock on wood, I've had a soft case for 10 plus years and have never once had an issue. I do have a little deal in my soft case where it wraps around and protects the heads of the woods. So that is nice, but I've never had an issue. So fingers crossed, I don't have any issues going forward. My mulligan on Monday would probably be on Friday night. I got pretty shit hammered after that Nuggets win. It was just so electric. We were out at the bars and we played a round of golf. Actually, I played Quail Hollow on the simulator Friday, fired a tidy little 69. I think I'm actually like a +8 on my TrackMan handicap. So I shot a gross 69 and a net 74. I was like, this has got me fucked up. I mean, we did, oddly enough, I don't know how it happened, but we played it from like 6,500 yards, which was like probably the white tees. I don't know. It didn't let us like pick tees. Hit the ball well though, but then I had some surf sides in the afternoon. I had then we go to dinner, have some more drinks, and then the Nuggets are on, and I'm just fucking I was on cloud nine. It just really got into one, and I rarely schedule lessons for Saturdays, but this one dude has been hammering on me for Saturdays. So I had a lesson with him at 10 a.m. and I immediately wake up at like 8:30 and I text him. I'm like, can we move it to 10:30? Like, I just feel like complete dog shit right now. And then I show up and I'm still hungover, maybe slightly a little intoxicated. And it actually went really well. Like the lesson went great, but I just said never. You remember those days of being on the lesson tee where you never liked teaching anyways, and then you throw in a little hungover late night before, and you're like, wow, this I would rather be anywhere else right now. So that was a rough Saturday morning. Let's put it that way. I didn't drink all weekend. That's the talk. Maybe that's my key is I just get so shit faced on Friday night that I don't want to drink all weekend. Could be a new unlock.
Yeah, could be. I didn't drink yesterday and it felt really good. And I felt like I'm going to go on until I get to Mesquite, I'm going to definitely hang off the sauce.
Very nice.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for us today on Big Drive Energy. Once again, we'll be live back here tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you all tuning in. We'll talk to you in exactly 24 hours from now. Peace.